Hey, this is Tarek from Optic Gaming, and I'm listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Episode 193 coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, November 20th, 2019. The time, 7 p.m. Central Time. This will be the best episode ever. Why, you ask? Well, because we've had to reset it like 4 different times to make sure the audio is correct. So we're taking our time with this one. This one means a little bit more to us. So I've often said before, computers sometimes have a mind of their own, and sometimes the audio just doesn't want to go through the source. So I don't know. Sometimes you close a few windows out, reset a few things, and all of a sudden it works. It's magic. It's technology. But that won't stop this from being the best episode ever, because again, we always have e-news, League of Legends free agency, that will go there. CSGO had a huge update. I say huge. Impactful update. How about that? Is that a good one? Could affect the pro scene. Some saying that it's meant for the casual scene, that's going to hurt the pro scene. A lot of drama going on there, so Nuge and I will break it down. Before we do that, though, go follow us on Twitter, @TheCenterRing. Website, tcr.gg. You can go ahead and check out our Discord and everything there. Be a part of the conversation. If you're listening on iTunes, go ahead and leave us a review, maybe some 5 stars. That would be appreciated. But you know what? If you don't, just enjoy the show. Enjoy the ride. That's all I gotta say. Let's introduce everyone. Hello, my name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports. And alongside me, as always, is my first mate, my best friend, my brown friend. It's a Nuge. Hello again. Long time no talk.
You know what they say, practice makes perfect. So for the 3rd time tonight, hello Tim, how are you?
Look, I'm just glad our listeners can hear us, because we stream everything on Twitch. For whatever reason, it was not getting to Twitch.
I'm just glad we have listeners.
I mean
that was a win.
Yeah, no, that is definitely fortunate that we have people kind enough to say they don't hear us, because yeah, I really don't know what was going on. I mean, I'll peel back the curtain a little bit for our listeners, because like I said, this was like our 3rd or 4th time attempting to start this episode, and then it's like we start it and people are like, yeah, I can't hear you on Twitch. But like Audition is picking up the audio. Streamlabs OBS is picking up the audio. For whatever reason, Twitch wasn't. So, restart the stream 2 or 3 times, change a few inputs here and there, and it works. Why? No clue. Not a sound engineer. Never claimed to be. I trial and error. That's my method. That is my method, which might make me a sound engineer. I assume that's really all they do as well, so. But we're here. We are here. We're a professional esports podcast as always. So, before we get into the juicy stuff, if you follow us on Twitter, @TheCenterRing, you may have seen some exciting news come down earlier this morning as we announced our partnership officially with Amuka Esports. In reality, this has been official on the books for 3 months now, I would say, give or take. But finally, we're able to kind of go public with it, let our listeners know all the exciting news. So in short, Amuka Esports are an investment group that invest in esports startups, whether it be podcast or teams or TOs, things like that. They're based out of Toronto, Canada. So they reached out to us, said that they are big fans of the show and would like to be more involved with it. So we said, let's talk. And long story short, it all worked out. We got some cash flow from it, which allowed us to do exciting things and hopefully do a lot more in the future. Obviously, bringing it all back to you, the listener. We did not fly to Anaheim We didn't go to the Overwatch League finals on our own dime. Like, the wifey wasn't going to allow that with a newborn. So, this allows us, gives us a little bit more opportunities. Wouldn't you say so, Anuj?
Yeah, definitely some freedom, right? Like some things that we've been wanting to do that we haven't been able to do. Attend events, meet people. I mean, I mean, these last two trips were just so valuable, both for different reasons. And again, this opportunity wouldn't have been possible, without Amuga. So we're definitely appreciative and happy to be working with them. And they bring a business expertise that Tim and I severely lack, I feel, from time to time. And so it's nice to have some people we can rely on, some people that are in our corner. And, first and foremost, they're fans of the show. That's how they, wanted to get involved, as they listened. And so glad they enjoyed it. Glad y'all are enjoying it. And again, we hope that this allows us to bring just better content for you guys. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. It's creating more content, being more active, being more involved, and that should be a win for all of us.
Yeah, and I'll also just throw this out there, right? On the theme of partnership and sponsorships and everything like that, it's something that, if you or know someone that would like to sponsor a segment, sponsor a handful of shows, right? Hit us up. It's something that we can always talk about and go over, right? It's nothing that we're against on the show, right? You've heard it before. If you're a listener of the show, we've had sponsors and everything like that. So, and again, that's something that I think partnering with an actual business to help back us up a little bit will help in the future, because it's not just us at Amuka. They have kind of an outreach with, like I said, other tournament organizers and things like that for esports startups. So it's something interesting to see how it will grow out and their interest in the scene and everything like that. I will say to our listeners, it's not going to change how the shows ran. Anuj and I are still boss. We're still majority here. So no worries about that, all right? Just because they're Canadian investors doesn't mean we're Canadian. America still number one in my book. I'm not going to listen to their Canadian propaganda and maple syrups and squirrels from Toronto.
As he's got the big maple leaf on his shoulder there.
They did give us, yes, if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, they did give us really nice Amuka esports jerseys with our names on the back, which you can't see. Does have a giant maple leaf on the sleeve. Very soft. I wouldn't mind getting a TCR jersey in production one day. If this is the material, I wouldn't hate it. But again, this is going to allow us to do other projects as well in the future, partner up with other companies out there to do other projects and things like that. So really looking forward to the future of TCR. Again, though, this would not be possible without you, the listener. So thank you to Amuka, but even a bigger thank you to you. So there's that. Let's get into some esports, though.
Let's do esports.
Because it's been a while, Anuj, I think, since we've really dove into some CSGO.
What is that? Counter-Strike?
I really kind of feel like it's been since the major, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's like since we really dove in, and even this is like a little unique, right? Because we're diving in, but we're diving into changes that were made. So we're not going to hit y'all with Pro League breakdowns. We have some of that coming up actually next episode as we get into the ECS finals. But this is like, I mean, the last major update, and we'll call this a major update, that took place was like when MIBR was still Brazilian. I mean, like when they were the number one team at the time, was the last time we had an operation release. So there've been steady updates since then. But I think this is one of the bigger ones because it's for the casual gamer, as well as, obviously it has major effects on the pro scene as well. But a lot of content packed into this, and, just worthy of its own segment today.
So I don't have the patch notes in front of me. Go over some of the big highlights, though, because like I said, I know, and we'll get into it here in a little bit, but like guys like Semler, a lot of the pro scenes, even some of the pros like NBK and stuff, are saying how this is like awful. Like it's just the end of days for competitive Counter-Strike as we know it. So if you have the patch notes in front of you, go over some of the.
This is me. This is my turn. Okay. Yes, professional esports podcast. All right, here we go. So Big first and foremost, what everybody been crying about recently, it's been the SG 553, the Krieg, the Nerf, wanting to see it balance out because we haven't seen the AK used as much. I mean, if you've been watching competitive Counter Strike for the last few months, you'll notice the SG is kind of the primary weapon, especially for the star players. You're seeing it pulled out a lot. They did increase the price, so they've, according to them, brought that more in line with the value that it should be. It raises it to $3,000. What that does is it basically takes away an additional nade from you with the price change that they've done. So if you are in a gun round where you're trying to buy full nades, this would limit you a little bit more in those situations. I don't think it's like a big enough increase, Tim, to think that it's not going to be used all of a sudden. I think people have realized how good of a gun it is. So you might not have 4 people on the team buying an SG, but I do think you'll still see like 1 or 2 of them pretty consistently in play.
Well,
Um,
I don't. I've often said this, and it's not just about Counter Strike where I say make this statement. I'll say the same thing about any MOBA out there, Overwatch, any game out there, right? For me, people are always like, we need a balance update. We need a balance update. And normally what they're saying is you need to obliterate something that's overpowered right now out of the game. And Blizzard, I think, is the worst guilty party in this, where every time Blizzard does a balance update, it's obliterating one hero from the game, making them so useless, right? Or they'll add a new hero in the game and they're so overpowered at the start. And I think now this is patch has been in Counter-Strike only a handful of days now, right? Just like 2 or 3.
yeah.
We've played a few. We played a little bit the other day. At the moment, I kind of feel like it's a good balance to where every gun can be useful. Like for the longest time, the FAMAS and Galil were pretty much useless, and even before that, the AUG and Krieg, is that how you say it? Right?
Yeah.
The Krieg, those were. I mean, those were considered noob weapons, right? You would laugh at people who would use them. But now, like you said, I do think, sure, they might be more expensive, but they're not so expensive to where it's just going to destroy your economy if you buy one. I think people now, and when I say people, I mean pros, have kind of learned the situational of it, right? Like if you're watching down, I don't know. If you're watching down long A on Dust 2, right? Maybe the scope is more beneficial for you. So spending that little extra cash just to have a little bit of extra aiming or vision down there would help, right? It's not a go-to AK every time type of situation. And I don't mind that.
Yeah, money will dictate what happens. And when Tim's talking about the FAMAS and the Galil, what happened with those 2 weapons was basically a reduction in price by $200 for each weapon. Also, improving like the full auto spray, so the recoil system in Counter Strike obviously plays such a big role in the weapon. So they have changed the spray pattern. I believe made it a little bit easier when they say improved the spray pattern for the FAMAS and the Galil. And the complaints are coming from the fact that there's not going to be many economy rounds, and that's true. What we saw in Counter Strike a lot of the times is that they're called eco rounds, where you are basically mid game, you've lost a couple rounds in a row, you're not able to afford guns, so your team has to save to build its economy back up. You saw those rounds happen quite often, really, in like 2017, 2018. It was a real commonality to see eco rounds throughout the match. Even 5, 6, 7 times a game, you would see a team having to save. They have slowly kind of gone away from that, and by making more guns viable at different price points, you're not seeing people do these full eco rounds. So the FAMAS and the Galil are now going to be pretty common, I feel, in second round buys. It's going to eliminate that pistol second round, or like a Deagle armor type situation. You could probably go Galil or FAMAS at this point with armor, and still have a couple of nades, or a kit or whatever it may be at that point. So you're going to see more action in the rounds, which I think is better for a viewer experience. I know hardcore traditionalists want the economy to mean a lot in Counter Strike because it always has.
Well, it's the unique thing about it, right? Like what
Yeah,
other
the
game
economy
has an
plays like a
economy like
huge
that?
role. And economies play a big part in like MOBAs and all that now, in terms of how quickly you're able to buy your items and things of that sort. I think economy still matters here. You're just going to have to be a little bit more cautious with when you are buying versus saving. Instead of having 5 save rounds a game, this might limit it to 1 or 2, and I'm kind of okay with that. Like, I would rather see teams on a little bit more of a level playing field from round to
Hmm.
round than, hey, a team's got to like double save and the next 2 rounds you just want to be like, dude, just rush B, end this round, let's move on to the buy round,
And that's kind of
um
what we saw while we were playing the other day. It was like, okay, you like an eco round or a save round was only one. Like you didn't have to hard save 2 rounds in a row and pretty much throw your body at them, just like Anuj said, to get it over with. You know, and this is kind of the big debate for me that started my little rant on our Discord was Semler. Semler tweeted this out, and he wasn't the only one that tweeted something along these lines, but Semler tweeted out, take on the Galil and FAMAS price changes. CSGO in an appeal to reach a broader market are slowly turning their game into Call of Duty, where you can have a rifle every round. This feels like a game that's going to lose its identity. Skip and go straight to 16k OT ecos. I think that is very dramatic. I think it's borderline clickbait of a tweet just for likes or retweets. The vibe that I got when I played, and just, I mean, honestly, I think it's a bit of an over dramatic tweet from that. But again, he's not the only one with this take on it, and maybe I'm not in the know on it, right? But I do feel like I have a pretty good grasp on it. I don't see how this is to appeal to a broader market. Now, from a viewing standpoint, like Anuj said, you don't have as many slow rounds. Maybe. But what casual player in Counter-Strike or someone who hasn't played Counter-Strike thinking to get into it, have you ever heard, Anuj, someone go, man, you know what? I would like to play Counter-Strike, but I've seen like 2 or 3 eco rounds and I just couldn't do it.
I think part of what he means by appeal to a broader audience is when you are playing casually the way we do, right? So we understand the game really
Nothing
well,
casual about how I play, sir.
but you know what I mean? Like, we're playing in a casual setting. So when we play these games, it appeals to a broader audience because we don't have as many save rounds. So we can constantly be in the action. Each round feels relatively equal or meaningful
Mm-hmm.
because you have guns to play with. And so from that aspect, yeah, it does probably appeal to the more casual player, because it makes the game more fun. I think the viewer probably can agree with that take, right? I think the ones that this maybe hurts again are the purist, or a pro sense of, this is not how I grew up with the game, right? Like, it's changed from how it has always been, or wanted to be. But I don't think it's that drastic of a difference. I mean, I just think a little bit, um, a fewer eco rounds isn't going to change how I feel about the game. But I understand their frustration again, from where they're coming from. I just don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. So, waiting to see this kind of implemented. I think we'll probably see this at the ECS finals, and go into play there. But it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to
I
see what
wonder if
this does with
they've.
the economy, and we'll just kind of have to follow it closely to see how much it actually does change, and are these guns viable? Like, we're all making these assumptions. It just hasn't been out long enough to know. So we'll see how the pros use it, and ultimately how it changes their gameplay.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like these do seem a bit knee jerky. I think eco rounds are still going to be important, right? Because if you can still turn it around, I think part of the issue is, and this is where I can kind of sympathize, right? I don't care how many pistol rounds there are or how many rifle rounds there are, because for me, what I hated seeing was a close game that got out of hand because the team had to save 3 times in a row, right? And then all of a sudden it's 11-11, something happens, your economy gets broken, and now you're at the last half of the match and you have to save 3 rounds. Like that to me would also kind of be a mood killer, because it's like, yeah, ecos are part of the game and maybe a better economy management or something, but at the same time, I want to see my shooters shoot. right? Like, I want to see these guys play kind of on an equal playing field. The one thing that I can sympathize with is that you're not as punished hard for losing, right?
Well, the comeback potential is less, right? So you used to be able to come back by breaking another team's economy and getting those 2 or 3 save rounds when you're down 14-11 and you break the team's economy. We
Right.
kind of were able to tell, "Oh, man, this is gonna be a 14-14 game," because it is gonna take the other team 2 rounds but to stack up some cash before they're able to do a full buy, or they have to make that decision, are we gonna do a half buy now and just do enough to stay in the round and maybe win it, but hey, if we lose this, they're guaranteed to tie or they're guaranteed to take the lead. So from that perspective, it may hurt the game overall. But again, like I just think it's a little quick to react until we've seen it in competitive play to see how it actually affects it. Right now, it's just a lot of assumptions. So if that were to happen, yes, I could see that hurting the game. Like I want to see, I want to see Cloud9 able to make that comeback in the Boston
Yeah.
Major against
Well, because it's
FaZe.
like not only is
That
our
may have
teams
not been
not being
possible.
punished for losing, but teams aren't getting rewarded for winning, right? Like when you see that team, like you said, I want to see teams' economy break. You know, I want to see that underdog maybe get a chance to get 3 rounds in, but I also like the motion that every gun is a little bit more viable. Before you would never see someone buy a FAMAS ever, right? Like hell, even Shroud couldn't make the AUG look cool back in the day, right? He was kind of the original. What's the innovator, right? Like he was really trying to force the AUG into situations before
It was buffed.
the adjustment on it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I agree with you. I think it's too early, but I also think at the end of the day, it's not going to make a huge difference as far as bringing in new fans or new players or things like that. I think what is a bigger issue with this is, and Elige actually tweeted this out. So Elige is partially colorblind. And so some of these new skins now that players can use in game are affecting how they look on a map and things like that, right? And so if you really want to be a purist of Counter-Strike, in my opinion, the gun amounts and economy, look, that's what we in other games call meta. You don't really hear the word meta a whole lot in Counter-Strike, but go see how Overwatch is done or Dota or League of Legends. That shit changes all the time because of patches, right? Like that's just the meta. Now we're in the rifle meta, where before you were in the eco meta or whatever, right? We just don't really use that terminology when we talk Counter-Strike because ultimately at the end of the day, the better team is going to come out 99% of the time. The meta doesn't make the team, right? Astralis didn't make a grenade meta. Or, like them adjusting prices didn't all of a sudden make Astralis say, maybe we should use utility in a smart way, right? No, like Astralis strategized that method.
Created their own meta.
Yeah, they created their own meta.
Yeah,
So that's
and what Tim was referring to with outfits, and I'll kind of jump into some of these just to give some of these updates a little bit quicker
yeah.
here. But they did add a whole new operation to the game. Operations are a way for you to do additional co-op missions, single player missions that you can go in and do, and then obviously multiplayer things. Think of it like a battle pass that you see in Apex Legends, Fortnite, very similar to that. As you complete these missions, you can earn custom skins and rewards that they give you. One of the new ones and one of the most important ones is, as Tim mentioned, it is the player skin. So we have like 5 or 6 new player skins in this operation. First female character added to the game. I think the skins are awesome. Like they look really cool. Again, yes, if it maybe in competitive, like pro competitive settings, you leave them as default only. But it is something that they probably want to show off in the game. Like I wouldn't be surprised that they just kind of let it go and don't worry too much about it. But yeah, that's a pretty big update, Tim. Like we haven't seen new player models and skins. That to me that kind of reminds me a little bit of older CS when I was used to be able to change these things to whatever I wanted, you know? So
See, but you took my idea right from me though, is the fact that like if people really want to get into the competitive integrity, don't bring up economy. Pros will have to learn to work around economy. In my opinion, each map should have a default skin that they use. And you know what? I'll go as far as saying you shouldn't be allowed to use gun skins either. It should just be default as pure as can be. Because, I wasn't a big fan when they added skins in Counter-Strike. Like, I remember when I first saw the gun skins, I was like, what the hell is this? This isn't CS, right? Like, get this crap out of here. But, people survived that. But again, from a competitive purist, I think this patch, like I said, I think people are just being knee-jerky. I think people are trying to get clicks and retweets saying that, we're turning into Call of Duty now. I think I don't even get that statement.
Yeah, just more so from like Call of Duty is a rifle only game, right? So you kind of have your gun, pick it, choose it, hold on to it the whole time. I think again that's the fear, is that there will be no eco rounds whatsoever. Again, I'm in a wait and see type setting there. They also added a new map here, Tim. They added cash back into the map pool. It has been in casual competitive play, whatever you want to call it, like scrimmage mode, I guess is what they called it. So you couldn't actually queue it as a comp map. It is back in the actual competitive settings game mode. It will replace a map that I guess is TBD at this point in time. I'm guessing we will see Mirage exit um, the map pool, but that is a guess, so take it for what it's worth. We played Cash. I liked it. I thought it
Yeah.
looked gorgeous. Now we're fortunate enough to play it after several iterations, because I know when it first came out, there were several issues with the map coloring, FPS. Like there was several issues when it initially launched. Now we're playing it as more of a final version that's out to us, but gorgeous. I enjoyed the new angles that were created in the map. I felt like it was like smooth in areas like around forklift and all that used to be a little bit harder to navigate.
The
Um,
window in Z throws me off. Like that,
a little weird.
that's like one of the biggest changes to me. The fact that when you're playing T side now, there's like 3 areas to check, where before all you had to do was worry about Z entrance and white box. Now you have this little
Yeah,
cubby hole up top, but again, not a bad thing. I liked all the changes. Nothing too drastic in the sense of, you know, the map sucks all of a sudden. I thought it was a good
they didn't
update.
ruin it like they did Cubble after the change, right? Like this was more of just a visual improvement to me. A lot of the same playstyle with a couple of bonus features that I thought were nicely implemented. So again, I think Mirage is the one that's out, but we should see Cubble or Cash come into the true competitive pool, in the not so very distant future here. They added some other scrimmage maps. They continue to play around with new maps, so that's always good to see. They added a new map in Danger Zone. So Danger Zone is Counter Strike's battle royale mode, which really hasn't taken off. Hasn't done very well from my perspective. I'm not going to give you actual data or numbers on this because I don't have it. But like none of my friends play it,
I
and
have
I
no
have a lot
interest
of
in it.
friends that are constantly in CS, and I just don't see
The only
anyone
time I've played
in
it
Danger
was at
Zone.
DreamHack Dallas at like 3 in the morning, where you just have nothing going on, and
Yeah,
we were
exactly
like,
what we do now.
let's just hop in it, see what it's about. We did like 2 or 3, and I was like, okay, well, that's it.
that.
I got
Yeah.
it. I got the idea of it.
But hey, if they keep improving it, sure, that's a win. Might give that a go at some point. Vertigo had several updates to it. One of the other biggest things that they did, I thought, was added. They added 3 weapon cases this time, Tim. I know people don't care like solely about skins, and that's not what we talk about on this show a lot. But adding 3 weapon cases in one update was pretty neat, because we kind of complained about the what was it, the 20-year anniversary
The
one that
that's the thing. This makes the 20. I mean, the 20-year anniversary was a joke, anyways. Like just from the get go. But this just
yeah.
kind of highlighted the fact of it. Almost seems like they got so distracted working on everything from this that they were like, "Oh God, it's been 20 years. Do something." And
Let's
then
do a little bit more.
they assigned it to like the intern or something to look at.
They also added like an Overwatch like feature. So like for those of you that play Overwatch, at the end of a match, you're kind of awarded medals That lets you know, hey, you got the most assists, you got the most headshots, you got the most kills, damage or healing done. And they did something very similar at the end of each match. There's now like a 5-man awards line that gives you the same sort of things: headshots, assists, MVPs, things of that sort. So, a little addition, but these are nice little changes to have. Like, none of these really bothered me a whole lot. I just want to see the game continue to evolve. And, um, again, I thought all the updates were quite interesting. I hope I'm able to unlock all the character skins before the season's over, but does cost $15. So again, they did it fairly similar to a battle pass and other games. But again, I think if they do this every 3-4 months and can release content like this, then that's just going to be good for the community. I'd love to see it.
So
Love
let
to
me
see
ask
more
you
of
this
it.
then. So, because one of the things that I was interested in from all the debate about, they're making these changes to be more attractive to casual players and everything like that. I mean, do you honestly feel like updates like this? Because I'm going to assume this is the only one we get for like the next 2 years, right? It's just nothing about what Valve has done with CSGO makes me believe that this is going to be the norm, where we get an operation every 6 months or something, like how you see in other games that have this battle pass now.
Yeah.
Nothing that they do tells me, because this is 4 months. I think it's 16 weeks. So nothing tells me that this is going to be a quick repetitive thing once or twice a year. Do you think that this is something that's going to grow Counter-Strike? Like, because this is where my mind is going here, Nuge. Who are new players playing Counter-Strike? Do you hear from anyone that's just like, you know what? I've really been into Call of Duty. I love Overwatch. Looking to get into a new game. Picked up CSGO.
I don't think experienced gamers that haven't played Counter-Strike are the ones that are jumping into Counter-Strike. I just think it's like the next generation of FPS players that see Counter-Strike on the global stage, that's the FPS they want to go into, right?
So
That's the
much
one that
kind
they
of like how
want
we
to
got
start
into it,
playing.
right?
Yeah,
It
like
was
we
we
saw
were young,
Counter-Strike being played. There were at that time not many FPSs to choose from,
right?
but again, we knew that Counter-Strike was like a highly competitive one. Um, I was young, looking for a game to play. I think those are the people that get attracted to Counter-Strike, right? They're looking for a competitive game, one where they feel like they have a chance to possibly, if they're good at it, they can make a living from it, or play it at a high level. Um, I think those are the people that are coming into CS. I don't think it's a 25-year-old that has been playing Call of Duty all of his life that's like, okay, I want to build a PC and go play Counter-Strike now. Like, unlikely that they're the ones getting into it. It is a young person's game in the sense of it takes a lot to master Counter-Strike. You can play Counter-Strike for years and still be learning something new. Hell, even for us, like trying to bunny hop and all that, I'm happy if I hit 1 or 2 in a row, and it's like that's something that we've been messing around with for as long as I can remember. So it's not an easy game to play competitively. You can jump in, but the casual side of CS has never really been that appealing. So I think the ones that jump in is just the next generation of young Counter Strike players. It's not going to be, let's attract the mid 20s gamer that's never played PC games or that doesn't like FPS
Or even
games
if you
to.
love FPS, right? Like, you could be a diehard PC FPS player. Now, I think the hardcore FPS PC player that hasn't already played Counter-Strike is few and far between.
Or they're just really bad at raw aiming games, right? So if you are not like a good natural aimer, you're not gonna like Counter Strike. It's a difficult game.
Right.
I've
I
had
guess
friends
so.
that
Let's
like
like, because we can even
Call of
look at
Duty
like,
feels
say
more
maybe you
casual,
were
right?
a Quake player, right?
Yeah.
Been around for a long time. I don't think you're picking up Counter-Strike anytime soon. But I think where the barrier to entry from their point of view, right? Because I agree with you. I think it's the future generation that is going to continue playing Counter-Strike. You're not going to get someone who is just, because like for example, TF2 pros or TF2 players naturally gravitated towards Overwatch. And you do see a lot of former Overwatch, or I'm sorry, a lot of former TF2 players who are now pro Overwatch players, right? They didn't gravitate towards Counter-Strike. I think if you already play a game and you're looking to move over, Counter-Strike is a very difficult game to gravitate to. Now, you could say, well, because they don't have as many bells and whistles and people like battle passes now, it gives them something to strive for and whatever, right? I ultimately think what it is just you're going to get your ass handed to you for a really long time in Counter-Strike. And you know what? You could say, hey, just go jump in casuals, get your aiming down, get the angles down. That's step one. So now you go play competitive and people are asking you to throw smokes and pop flashes and boosts and this angle here that you never even knew existed, right? Like, you can be a raw aimer in Counter-Strike and do okay, but there's still so much to the game that people have been building on from, the fundamentals now for 20 years. The game has changed here and there between, 1.3 and 1.6 and Source and Go, but ultimately the fundamentals have always been there.
It's been about movement, raw aim, and then just knowledge of maps, like
And
how to do executes.
What casual, what hardcore person that has been playing games on PC or even not PC, right? Just playing FPSs in general their entire life could just pick it up. I think that number is a lot smaller than what people think. Everyone can't just be Stewie, right? Stewie, although was also young, right? So to your point, that younger generation that he said, I'm going to master this game. And so he dropped out of high school and did just that.
And that's what we encourage you to do if you're listening.
Yeah,
and you want to master Counter-Strike, drop out of school. It's the only way.
You know what? You might not be wrong though. You drop out of school, you stay as far away from the opposite sex or just the sex you're attracted to. You stay as far away as you can from that. Because I can tell you right now, that's going to destroy any pro hopes and dreams that you ever had in your life. That definitely won't work out in your favor. Definitely don't have a kid. Like, my level of hope went from being semi-pro in Rainbow Six, which, by the way, did you know I was semi-pro?
Were you?
Oh yeah, not a big deal. And in Shadowrun, I played with Ogre too and stuff. It was not a big deal. We'll get into it in a later episode though. I don't want to stop down the show right now for that. But like my hopes and dreams went from, okay, I'm in high school, I'm really good at these games, I'm playing with professionals, I have pros I'm doing pro scrims, it's great. Then I went to college. I was like, okay, not as much time, but still enough, and then girls get involved and projects and, oh, my parents are moving to Florida and now I have to get my own place and like a real job that I have to pay rent with. And then it's just slowly chipping away at my hopes and dreams. And now my firstborn just completely gutted it. Because at first I was like...
Now Tim's a podcaster.
Yeah, because like, let's be real. Like when I'm married, I'm like, well, you know what? I could get a divorce and then go pro. But now, even if I get a divorce and I have a kid now.
Child support, you're in trouble.
There's no shaking that now. I definitely screwed up. So regrets, I have them. Sure, everyone does. But I have to, live vicariously through other people going pro. And
so just like Counter-Strike doesn't have many hopes of growing with gamers 25 and older, your hopes of going pro are similarly low. Although Counter-Strike's only hope is the Asian market. If they could find a way to grow there.
It's the untapped market like right now for FPS.
What's the other game? They have Crossfire and Sudden Attack are the two games that are wildly popular in Korea and China.
Wildly Counter-Strike ripoffs.
Oh, yeah. But they're like much crappier versions of the game. Now, they've been free and they've been out for a long time. So that is the advantage they have. But those are wildly popular games over there. So if Counter-Strike could somehow find a way to get into that market, they have gone free to play over there and tailored their game to the Chinese market. was it Open World or whatever the heck.
Maybe
it's
they
called.
just need to make Counter-Strike
World.
mobile, and then it will.
And then draw them back onto the PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, that's yeah, I just don't. It's going to be tough for them to grow unless it's really in the Asian market.
Yeah. And, it's just interesting. It's interesting where Counter-Strike will go, right? It definitely seems like something that will always be here just because it always has, right? You always have that old faithful of Counter-Strike always being there for you. But there's a lot more competition out there now than there was 10 years ago.
And just wait. We have what? Project Ares for
Yeah.
Riot coming out in,
Riot's-
let's say, a year maybe.
And you bringing up the Chinese market, right? Like, what company already has control over the Chinese market? Oh, that's right. Riot in League of Legends. So they drop that out there. You're already going to have, that market looking at them. And really, if Valve or Counter-Strike loses that Asian market, I'm not saying the game's dead. I'm not jumping that far into it. But it's definitely going to slow it down, right? Or at least refocus. Like, Valve's going to be like, Asian's dead to us, right? Like, Asia market is dead to us. We're going to focus on, NA, Brazil, and EU. Like, this is our bread and butter, and China will do its own thing.
Yeah, Project Ares will destroy them in the Asian market. It won't even be close.
Yeah. It will be interesting nonetheless to see for sure. Anything else on the Counter-Strike update or just Counter-Strike growth in general?
No, I mean, other than the fact, like I said, we have, league finals and all that coming up. The season is going to start ramping up. We got some information on the major that we're going to share in e-news. But yeah, I mean, again, I think it was nice that we got a lot of content in the update. That's the most important thing, is we got stuff to do in the game that's new. As far as the pro scene goes, I'm going to say let's take the wait and see approach. Let's not jump to conclusions. Let's see how it plays out. Hopefully, if they see that, the competitive side is suffering, there's several changes they can make to fix it. I mean, tweaking the economy just a little bit here and there is very easily done, whether that's with win round bonuses or loss bonuses or kill rewards. Like, they have a lot of ways to tweak this to make it right. So, more weapons to use, I think that's a good thing. Doesn't bother me. So let's see.
Change never hurt anyone.
Yeah, never.
Never did. Let's get some e-news. In Counter-Strike, speaking of, you have the ESL is to host the next major coming up in May of 2020. And we've known this for a little bit, but it's going to be in Brazil.
I didn't know how far Brazil was exactly.
Yeah,
for some
what's
reason,
funny is
I thought it was like a little closer.
At Anaheim. So we live in Dallas, right? And at Anaheim, we were like, oh man, did you see that the major's supposed to be in Brazil? And we're like, yeah, it's pretty badass. We'll probably go to it, just being that we're in the South. Like,
we're as close to it as you can get being a U.S. citizen.
Right.
Pretty
Like,
much.
It's got to be like, what, 6 hours away? Like, that's not bad at all. And then all of a sudden I look at tickets and they're like $1,000+ in a 16-hour trip. And I'm like, bro.
What just happened here?
Like, I think Shanghai was even faster than that, right?
Yeah, it was because of like the stops and stuff that it has to make along the way. I think it's like 9 hours, fly time that we're going to be looking at. But yeah, I was a little surprised. So we're going to keep an eye out because obviously we're looking super early into the tickets. But yeah, next major in Brazil. I think that is, it's a cool place, assuming you can keep everyone safe and do it in the right type of area over there. But Counter-Strike's got
it's in Rio,
great,
right? That's where the Olympics were, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of like
people survived.
Have it because they cleaned up Rio way different than they're going to clean up Rio for the major.
You don't think that they're going to give the major the same love that they did for the Olympics
had? So we'll see what it's really like. But that again, Brazil's a beautiful place. Hopefully, that time it's in top-notch shape for everyone that's going to be attending.
You would hope.
Yeah.
OG has been found out that they have registered for OG CSGO in Denmark. So obviously the rumors of that is all but true.
What a roster. I mean, to me, it looks like a great roster. It's, NBK, Alexi B, former ENT's in-game leader. Now that will be an interesting dynamic there because we're going to see who's actually going to take over in-game leading duties. Even Valde, so Valde coming from North, has in-game calling experience. So that's like 3 leaders on a team. Kind of interesting to see how they split up responsibilities and who takes charge there. You have Isa from, I think it's pronounced Isa, but from Hellraisers. Again, a very competent player. And then I think the reason that this has taken so long to be announced was their 5th player. They originally had a Jampy. He has a VAC ban on one of his accounts, which they found out about, I guess, after they either extended an offer or were in discussions of creating a team with him. That could prevent them from playing in Valve-sponsored events. So it's a really big
How do
deal.
you get that far and not realize it?
Didn't get sorted out, so they swapped over and went with Montu. And Montu is coming from Alternate Attacks. It's a tier 2 team. But he's posted a really good rating on LAN at over a 1.2 rating and young. So I think that fits in okay. They can take a chance on a young player with the veterans they have on this team. So a team to keep an eye out for because they're successful in other esports. And so, and we don't see that many new teams coming into CSGO. I know we just saw Evil Geniuses,
100 Thieves.
OG and Vitality also kind of being relatively new into CSGO. So this is good stuff. And more competition and get some of these high price free agents off the streets and working again.
I don't think it's a surprise that as we see more franchise leagues out there, we're seeing more teams go to CSGO because it is kind of like the last biggest esport that hasn't been franchised.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I know there's a rumor that I don't have it written down, but there is going to be a franchised like league. I don't have the details in front of me. Maybe we can talk about it some other time.
I
but
heard
you know
about
what I'm
it
talking
also.
about?
Didn't see a ton of detail there.
Yeah, so we'll wait till more details come out about it. But it's rumored that someone, I don't even know who off the top of my head, was going to do like a franchise-like league. So we'll see. But apparently it doesn't violate Valve's rule because the whole point of it was Valve's issue is they don't want leagues telling teams you can't play someplace else. They don't care if the league is exclusive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
they can have like a set group of teams.
Yeah, they don't mind that you're stopping teams going into your league. They just don't want you stopping teams going out of the league. So it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't violate that. So there's that. In Overwatch, this is very cool, I think, and something that I don't ever remember seeing us having opportunities like this growing up. But Team Envy is hosting an open tryout for their contenders team.
Are you going?
There's rules and things involved that unfortunately I cannot.
What is it?
You need they need you to be like a 4500 SR or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like you have to already be pretty much top 500 to
Yeah.
do it. So again, the kid, that's really, if I didn't have him, I totally would, Anuj.
So out of our friends circle, just Brett would be going in, or
Brett's 45-0. Not 4500. But no, how badass is that?
that's really freaking cool.
An open
It is.
tryout, and I think you have to be 17.
Like you have to be exactly that age.
Well, or older.
No,
You
no,
could
I'm kidding,
be
I'm
older.
Gotta
But
be 17 years old only.
how? Yeah, like that's
Yeah,
pretty
no, that's a badass opportunity. If you're able to go participate, why not take your chance there? I mean, I don't know why you would. If you're in the area and you're able to go try out, do it, because that's really like one of those once in a lifetime opportunities.
Just to say you did, right? Like, this is something you don't wait and be like, well, I'll do it next time. Right now, I'm 17. I'm finishing up senior year of high school. I just let me focus on something.
Look,
No.
Go ask Vince Papale from the Philadelphia Eagles how this worked out for him. All right, dude was from South Philly, decided to go walk on tryout when
That's the Mark
they
Wahlberg
did that.
movie for those who don't know.
And so he went and tried out and made the team, and it was just to go originally be an experience. So you never know if you're good enough to go play and you have a high enough SR, and that means you're better than my co-host here, Tim. You're something special, because I've seen Tim at the top of his game, and it's at least average. So go give it a go.
Did you say elite average or at
No,
least?
At least.
Elite.
At
Elite average.
Elite average.
This is kind of weird, but I guess kind of cool that the Seoul Dynasty is going to retire Ryu's jerseys number whenever he gets around to retiring. Hasn't
So it's because
retired
of his
yet.
it was because of his like dedication and devotion to the team.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
It seems a bit odd to announce that though.
Is he retiring? I thought he was retiring.
No. Like
Oh.
whenever he decides to retire.
It's like giving a man his tombstone
Like,
before he's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, like I guess it's like a promise ring or something. I guess. It's cool.
weird.
Like I like the idea of honoring and retiring numbers. I just didn't get why you're making the announcement now. But
You're in the Ring of Honor before you leave the team. It's a little
I
odd.
guess. I
Little
guess. You
odd.
do you, Soul. Whatever. Whatever. A lot of League of Legends to get to here. So bear with us because it is free agency time. That all kicked the door open. But before that happened, Riot Games announced that Cloud9 is going to be fined $175,000 for forcing excuse me. So they're not only getting fined, but they're also going to force the team to pay its players additional money after the team violated league rules by issuing stock units to 7 players, which obviously, according to league rules, you have to pay them money. You cannot give them stock.
So Cloud9's valuation just dropped from 450 million to 449,900 and
Hopefully they can rebound.
80,000,
Hopefully,
yeah, so
you know what? When they sell their CSGO team here in like a month or two, they'll get that right back.
they'll get pennies to the dollar on that stock.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? Like, from a player standpoint, you take that stock, all right? Listen to 2 old guys telling you about life decisions. You take that stock in Cloud9. That's going to be worth more than your salary.
I wonder if they're
eventually.
forced to give back that stock or if they get to keep
That's
that.
what I didn't know.
in conjunction
So
with
the
it,
the
so-
rule is, and it makes sense, is that a player, an active player, cannot own stock in a team, which makes
I
total
would
sense.
retire and just be like, I'm going to keep the stock. I'm
Right.
gonna keep
Yeah,
my
for real.
3%.
So I don't
Just
know.
get this.
I don't know, but either way, that happened.
Yeah.
Riot also announced that they are creating a Belgian and Dutch league. So I guess now it's not just the 2 or 3, whatever it was. It's you're having more. I don't know if these are going to feed into the system for as far as worlds go or what.
That'll be interesting to see what they do
I
with
cared just enough to read the title. I was
That's
like,
all we need sometimes.
I am way too far from League of Legends to care right now. Cloud9 also they're finalizing negotiations with TSM for Sven. Sadly, this also means Sneaky is no longer with Cloud9. Sad news there. He confirmed on stream that he will no longer be joining the team. Their longtime AD carry. So, that's, again, I'm not like a huge League fan, but I'm definitely a Cloud9 fanboy. And as weird as his cosplay cross-dressing is, I think the fans kind of rallied around it. So that's kind of sad to see Sneaky go.
It's a big name on the team, but they're trying to win championships, so they felt like they needed to make changes. That's a big one.
Maybe it's because he didn't win the cosplay awards at the esports awards.
that was the final straw.
Maybe that was like, look, we were really banking on you winning that.
You were one of 9 nominations, though.
You were 1 out of the 20 people nominated. For T1, Faker, that was a big story, right? Is he going to retire? Is he going to continue? He is going to continue as his contract was extended through 2021. So that means at least 2 more seasons. So that's 2 more finals that he can
Making a
bust on.
return, getting paid well, so keep it going.
2 more worlds that he can blow it, as people still say that he's the greatest player of all time.
Was.
like 3 years ago. Congratulations, Faker. And G2, they're not making any moves. So obviously not winning isn't going to rock the boat. They are sticking with it.
I think that's a good move. They were dominant throughout the whole season and ran into one rough weekend.
It's refreshing to see teams not shake it up.
I think
Guys,
it's the
we're
right
good.
call. Like that team didn't lose a best of 5 all year until their last chance at it. Moved relatively easily through Worlds. So why not? Why not keep the band together, give it another go, and they were successful. They didn't have a bad year. Disappointing ending, but not a bad year. So
Yeah.
I like the move. I like the move to make no move.
Not at all. And now if this was a Monday, this would probably be Yikes of the Week. But it is so juicy, we have to bring it up right now. I cannot wait till Monday to bring this up for Yikes of the Week. This is about Call of Duty. And it has been discovered. Now, we're all familiar with tick rates, right? In Counter-Strike, what are the servers? 64?
64. And
64 public servers. The pros play on 128. So double it. I can do math. Now, that is an issue. Like, people think 64 is unplayable in Counter-Strike. Imagine being Call of Duty and only to discover that your public servers are on 64 hertz and your private servers, aka where the pros are playing, aka when you're at a LAN event and that's what you're playing, or through your scrims and everything is at a astonishing 12.
I mean, that's like so this is what makes the time to kill feel really fast. For those of you that are curious, like, well, what does this do to my experience, right? Like, what does this really mean? Well, what this means is that the time to kill is unbearably fast right now. You're seeing it, if you have 80 plus millisecond lag time, Peaker's advantage is going to be very real in that situation. So people
or
that are
host
peaking
advantage,
first,
right? Do you remember back in the day on Xbox Live when host advantage was an actual thing that people talked about? I haven't heard host advantage since like the Xbox 360.
You're not supposed to hear that. That's not supposed to be like a thing. So it's a really big deal. Hopefully that this has been brought to their awareness. I want to pretend like they didn't know they released such a shitty product.
They did know a Pro League was going to be with this game, right?
I honestly think they did not get the memo, but who knows what the hell's going on. I mean, again, I feel like they have something special in their hands. It's just like one blunder after another. So curious to see how they fix this, if they fix this,
weird,
when
the more
they fix
I play,
it. So
the more I'm having fun. Like, we play all the time in Uge, and I am adjusting to the game, and I'm having fun with it. I'm hyped for the league.
We're playing on that beautiful 64 tick server, Tim.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. All these noob pro players playing on your 12 tick servers. Have fun with that, scrubs. Jump on that public server life. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. It really, really, truly does. And hopefully it gets worked out by the Pro League, but it won't. It won't. But you know what is worked out this episode of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast, episode 193. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much for listening. It was nice talking Counter-Strike. Nice getting some things off the chest, You see these updates and you're like, what the hell? People are complaining about it. Guys, beggars can't be choosers, all right? Let's just be happy that Valve remembered Counter-Strike was even a thing, okay?
Yeah.
Well, let the pros worry about the economy, all right? And then we'll talk about it. Let them figure it out, and then we'll talk.
We got skins to go get.
Yeah, I got missions I got to do. That's all I got to worry about. We will be back for Monday's episode. It's going to be an ECS Finals preview. We are only doing one episode next week because of obviously Thanksgiving being on Thursday and the holiday. We'll have family in town and whatnot. So that's it for that. Follow us on Twitter to know when we go live, maybe even a dozen times because audio issues. So you got to keep restarting the stream. So you're going to get a lot of tweets there at the center ring. If you listen on iTunes, give us a like, give us a review. 5 stars, yada yada. Our website, tcr.gg, has all the information there to join our Discord, be a part of that conversation. We're active. We talk about all the matches when they go live, things like that. I'm Tim for Anuj. We'll see ya.